Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Neverwinter Nights, Hordes of the Underdark. Alright, I leveled up my character. He's now a level 15 cleric. I took the feat Combat Casting. I do hope that is one of those feats that is not useless, as opposed to one of those trap feats that were included in the D&D 3rd edition rules in order to dupe unsuspecting noobs into wasting their points. Let's see, there it is, combat casting. So as you can see, you don't suffer the standard -4 penalty to concentration checks while casting defensively within 4 meters of an enemy. Since my character tends to melee quite a bit, I figured that combat casting would be a solid choice. The other thing I noticed while I was going through my character build, we'll take a look at the items in just a moment, but defensive stance I have not been using, and that is one of the main benefits to having a Dwarven Defender. So let's swap out a skill we are not using much, such as Web. Aren't using that all that much. So we'll empty this quick slot, and we will assign the defensive stance special ability to, what is it, F11? I think, yeah. Alright, so that will, we should take a look at what it does. So you get the following benefits: +2 strength, +4 constitution, +2 resist all, and +4 dodge bonus to AC. So yeah, it's pretty good. Once we get the Dwarven Defender up to +5, it will be impossible for us to get flanked, which is an interesting benefit, but I still think the cleric levels are more advantageous for us at the moment. Now, right, we need to take a look at our spell book because I have selected some new spells, which I probably should add to the hotbar as well, but this thing just doesn't have enough entries on it. Anyway, our 7th level spells, I took Destruction, Resurrection, and Word of Faith. Destruction is really strong. Let's take a look here. So target creature must make a Fortitude save or die. Alright. And the Fortitude save is Fortitude partial. You must make a partial save. I'm not quite sure what that indicates. I'm more familiar with the 5th edition style checks, because I actually wrote a campaign setting brief for 5th edition. So I was going through the rules of 5th edition while I was working on that last year. And I don't know, if you're all interested in reading it, let me know and I will post a link to it in the Something Awful thread description. It's nothing too fancy, but you know, it's just there as a skeleton for if you want to start a custom campaign. Kind of give you a framework to work within as a DM rather than spelling out everything for you. Because I was intending to use it as the basis for me to start a new D&D campaign as a DM, and my philosophy about being a DM is that half of the story, at least, should be collaboratively written with the PCs, or with the players. And therefore I decided to leave quite a bit to the imagination rather than creating a extremely elaborate story bible and then forcing the players into that framework. But anyway, let me know if you're interested in that and I will post it. But let's continue looking at our spells here. So we also have Word of Faith. A wave of divine energy blasts all enemy creatures within the area of effect. All enemies within the area are stunned for 1 round per 2 caster levels. So our caster levels. Can we take a look at that? No. Oh, there we go. So, right, we have 15 caster levels, so they get 7 rounds of stun, which is, you know, significant. Those with 4 hit dice or less are killed instantly. Probably not that relevant in the Underdark, but, you know, it could turn up at some point as useful. And hostile summon creatures are returned to their home planes. May be relevant in the endgame, because there was some talk about the Valsharis summoning some extra planar creatures, so that might come up, but at the moment it's probably not going to be too useful. Right. As for the last skill we selected... Oh, my spellbook is gone. Oh, that wasn't the spellbook. There we go. The last skill I selected was Resurrection. So, you know, just as in... instead of using our staff, we can now cast Resurrection at will. Or not at will, but once per day. Right. And then took some extra spells because we had more slots. I took Battle Tide. I took True Seeing because I noticed that those enemy dwarves tended to have a lot of invisibility, so True Seeing would be pretty useful. And then I took Death Ward because I am concerned that the Beholders are going to do a lot of instant death attacks on us. I'm not sure if Death Ward will protect us from that, but it's worth a shot, so we'll go ahead and use that. And then the rest of it, well, it's just low-level stuff, so not going to concern ourselves with it. Alright, so Blade Barrier, we're not using this, so we might as well at least bind one spell to the hot bar here, the hotkey bar, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, let's take Word of Faith. That seems like it's going to be pretty useful. And then the other things we have, Flame Strike, we've been using that a lot to great effect. Hold Person, we have not been using much, so I will drop that. No, I was talking it up at the start of the game there. I haven't really used it much, because I didn't find it to actually be all that useful when I tried casting it. The enemies might be too high level for it to be really effective. Go back. And we don't really need both of these, but it could be useful if we're in an area where we can't rest. Greater Dispelling, yes, that will be useful for when we're up against some wizards, some casters, which I believe the Illithids certainly will be. So we're going to have to deal with them. Although, Illithids get psionic abilities, if I'm not mistaken. But then again, maybe those are not implemented in this game, so they just cast normal magic. That's an interesting question. Gonna say it again, would be fun to have played a Scion, just because they're so goofy. Alright, now then, let's take a look at my inventory. Actually, I haven't done anything with my inventory, it's with Deacon, that's what we want to take a look at. Now, one of you said in the thread that Deacon, his setup is counterproductive. Because these charisma modifiers are not stacking, but actually they are stacking, so I'm a little bit confused about that. So if I take off the Helmet of Charm, you'll see he's down to 27. Put it back on, he's up to 30. I take off the... where was it? The Nymph Cloak, down to 25, up to 30. And if I take off the Lantanese Ring, down to 27, up to 30. So these seem to stack, so I'm not sure what the issue is there. Maybe I misread what was written. But another thing that was mentioned is that I should fire and hire him again, so let's go ahead and do that. I think we need to part ways. Wait here until I return. And then we'll go ahead and talk to Deacon, yes, come along, Deacon. Okay, so I don't really know what the glitch was that we had to deal with, where we had to fire and hire him, but I hope that resolved it. Let me know if that isn't what you need to do. If you need to send him back to somewhere. Right, and the other thing you mentioned was that he's overburdened. He's actually not overburdened. I took the armor that he was carrying and gave it to my hero because he's got plenty of strength now with all his buffs. But even then, he was still under the weight limit, so I don't know if you were like at a certain percentage of your weight limit, you're still slowed. If you do like a fat roll like you would in Dark Souls. But the mysteries of the D&D system are many. What can I say? Alright, so we've done all that stuff. I might as well do a save here because I don't want to fiddle around with the menus again. We talked to the seer last time, and we are going to take Athira as our companion over Valen because, as one of you mentioned, his skills are comically bad. I actually rolled a Weapon Master when I was playing Shadows of Underdark, well back in time there, probably, what now, 3 years ago or something like that. And it was okay. But, as you mentioned, having a great flail as your specialized weapon as a weapon master is dubious, a dubious choice, because that is a terrible weapon. So we're going to try to use Athira.
So now you know everything. The Valsharess, who we are, why we're here, all of it. What we're doing here is very important. Is there something else you need from me?
I don't really want to hear about the Valsharess and her allies, because we heard about that from the Seers. But let's just see what she has to say, for completion's sake. Okay. There's the caverns to the west of the village, where we can find the Illithid and the Beholders. And the western caverns are also the likely source of her undead horde. Oh ho ho. Well, undead horde. Now you're talking my language. Oh, okay, sweet. We got some journal entries about these different quests we have to do. Because I'm going to turn those undead like there's no tomorrow. Oh, there's actually some new information here. So, how did the Valsharess get a hold of an undead horde? Illithids are so classic as a D&D enemy. I mean, Beholders are too, of course. Are we going to go talk to an Overmind? Are we going to play the Kerrigan role in this? Such creatures should be slaughtered, not bargained with. So I think we were hit with disintegration when we got instant killed there. So I'm not sure the Death Ward will really help us, but we'll have to see. And we talked about the Illithids, the Beholders, and the Undead Horde. And what about the Devil? So we have to talk to Valen about this sort of thing. Alright, so will you be willing to join me? Of course. No big surprise there. Yay, we got a new party member. Let's take a look at... what was her name? Athira. Triple classed, eh? I should say multi-classed. I think that's the proper term for this. Although, isn't... for non-human races, aren't two classes also considered multi-class? Because only humans dual class? That's something I seem to remember from my days of reading 3rd edition source books. But, I don't know. Alright, so she's an assassin, in addition to being a rogue. Only 3 levels in rogue. What kind of skills does she have as a rogue? She has concentration for casting spells. She's a level 9 wizard, which is not terrible. She has 41 in hide, which is meh. It's not really the best skill. Although, you know, you can use it to get backstabs. But then if she's going to be doing backstabs, then why does she need all her wizard spells? I guess she can cast invisibility on herself. But then why do you need hide? It's like... the contradictions of triple classing. It's not like Final Fantasy Tactics where the, like, you know, you just get these amazing class synergies. I guess you can in the D&D system. You can make some really broken characters, but it doesn't seem like your companions really follow that kind of philosophy in this game. Alright, so she's got some points in lore, move silently. Search. Search is good. Set trap. Spot taunt, and she's got lots of points in tumble. Alright, well, she's not going to be useful for disarming traps or opening boxes or chests, which is okay. I hope she will be useful in combat. Let's take a look at what her inventory is. The Shadow Legion armor. Ooh, she has some armor from the Shadow Thieves of Om, which those of you who played Baldur's Gate 2 will be familiar with. Uh-huh. So she's definitely doubling down on this, like, move silently kind of design philosophy. But again, she's a wizard, which is a strange choice. So we definitely don't want to give her anything that will give her a really bad casting penalty. So arcane spell failure is at 10% with this armor, and this is it's a +4 armor, so yeah, her AC is 34, that's really good. So we are not going to worry about that. What's her weapon all about? A short sword, eh? Short sword is not fantastic, but this does give her haste. Ooh, hello there. But, as you were saying in the comments, it would be better to get the intelligent longsword that we discovered in the first chapter and give it to her, but I actually don't know how we're going to do that. There must be some way to meet up with the characters back at the tavern, but I don't know what it is yet, so we'll have to look into that. Now let's go talk to Valen Shadowbreath, which is a really bad name.
The seer believes you the prophetical savior, our only hope of defeating the Valsharess. I, however, do not believe in prophecies.
Uh-huh.
Still, you are obviously capable in your own right, and we need all the help we can get if we're to win this war. So I'm willing to take a chance.
Alright, I'm gonna be the bigger man here. Not dress him down. So to the west were all those enemy layers, and to the east are the Miathar ports. An island inhabited by powerful golems. So if we go there, we can get some sweet loot that we can use to take on the enemies. That sounds more interesting than killing a bunch of trash mobs. Cavalis the Boatman. Well, that's convenient. So either this is going to be plot significant or not at all. I don't really, but I'll ask anyway. And yet you use a flail. Alright, goodbye.
Well met. Hello.
What do you want? What?
Yes, hello to you.
Yay, we get to leave a room.
Do you have a moment? There is something I wish to tell you.
Well, that seems like a lawful good answer, maybe. So these kind of very primitive NPC interactions certainly got expanded when when this generation of BioWare games ended and we got to Dragon Age and Mass Effect, where they became like one of the core elements of gameplay. But they're still kind of fun, especially the Deacon ones. So, we're at 25 minutes, and before we go get started with exploring the city, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode, and then we'll go ahead and do that in the next one. So, I will see you shortly.